On the anniversary of the Pearl Harbor attacks, the Department of Defense decided to take a giant swipe at Colin Kaepernick for his recent protest. They said on Twitter, "You can bet that the men and women we honor today and those who died that fateful morning 75 years ago never took a knee and never failed to stand whenever they heard our national anthem being played." So again, Department of Defense tweeting this out, and they were quoting a speech by Admiral Harry Harris, which is an awesome name. So he got, I think, a standing ovation too, by the way, when he said this. Yeah, stand for our anthem. Oh, yeah, stand for our anthem. Faux patriotism. Oh. And it is bizarre that the Department of Defense is going to tweet this out. I mean, the Pentagon. The Pentagon lecturing anybody about patriotism is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. We just covered the story. $125 billion in waste they found in a report where they're like, yeah, no, this is all going overhead and unnecessary shit, and we can cut it out. They buried the report. They buried the report because they wanted to keep the money. They didn't want to expose how bad the waste is at the Pentagon. So for any other program, a program for poor people, a program for middle-class people, you find $125 billion in waste, and they're going to go to work. They're going to take a hatchet to that motherfucker, and they're going to really get angry about it. But if it's $125 billion to the Pentagon, they bury the report, and everybody shut the fuck up. Pentagon's allowed to do it, because what, are you unpatriotic? Are you unpatriotic? We're allowed to waste as much money as we want. As fucking Flint doesn't even have clean water and our infrastructure gets a grade of D. But we can waste as much as we want. And you need to shut up, because if you don't, you're unpatriotic. There's also, because of bad bookkeeping, they're like, oh yeah, $6.5 trillion. I don't know where it went. I don't know. Probably because it went to, defense contractors who got no bid contracts for Iraq, and they price gouged the fuck out of the American taxpayers. So the Pentagon's like, oh, look, our books are fucked up. What are you going to do? $6.5 trillion. And they're going to lecture other people about patriotism. What, you don't think that money could be used here at home? Like we don't have 1,000,001 problems? Like we don't have hundreds of thousands of homeless people? Like we don't have, 50% of the American people make $30,000 a year or less? Please, okay. So that's the first angle to this. The second angle to this is, hey, jackasses, you're proving his point. So you're supposed to be protecting Colin Kaepernick's freedom of speech and his freedom to protest. But instead, you, the government, the Department of Defense, the Pentagon, the government, you are taking an official position against it. Allow me to introduce you to this thing called the First Amendment, you dumb motherfuckers. Because you're dumb. You're dumb. I'm saying it, you're dumb. You're proving his point. His point is, look, man, dissent is the highest form of patriotism. What we need to do is we need to stand up to our government when they're wrong, not because we hate our government, but because we want to create a more perfect union. We want to make the country a better country. We want to make it so that we improve it for our kids and our kids' kids. And the only way to do that is through constructive criticism. So that's what I'm doing when I'm protesting police brutality. So that is the more American point. That's somebody who's living the values of the United States of America. And you guys are doing the opposite as you claim the mantle of patriotism. Yep, with your free speech and your free protest. www.zipit.com. Do our bullshit fucking symbolism and shut the fuck up. So the symbolism is, oh, I'm going to wear a hat that says USA on it or make America great again. And I'm going to put a fucking eagle bumper sticker on my car and say, I support the troops and I stand for the pledge. But that's faux patriotism. That's window dressing. That's kabuki theater. Actual patriotism is, let's try to fix the problems in the country and let's give the country tough love. It's like if you find out that your kid just got an F in school and is doing crystal meth. Is the thing to do because you love your kid? I'm going to let my son do all the meth in the world and get even more Fs because I love my kid. Support him. No, the thing to do if you love your kid is, come on, Ted, we got to have a talk. I always say Ted. I don't know why I go with Ted for male names. I was going to say Steve, but I always go Steve too. Fuck, my male name meter's limited. Derek. Come on, Derek. Let's have a talk, buddy. Sit down. Okay. you're going to stop with the meth. We're going to fix it. We're going to put you in rehab. We're here for you, buddy. But we're going to, just tough love now. And also, we're getting you a tutor, but you're going to bust ass and you're going to do better in math class and in whatever classes you got to F in. And you might not like it, but hey, look, we're giving you tough love because we love you. That's what Colin Kaepernick is doing to America. Oh, I'm not going to stand for the national anthem. You want to know why? Because police brutality happens way more often in this country than it does in other modern countries, and I want it to stop. So I'm going to sit out the national anthem until you guys get your act together and you make it so that police have body cameras, for example. We have special prosecutors when there's an incident of a police officer killing an unarmed civilian. So you don't have an officer who has ties to the prosecutor who's supposed to crack down on him. And the list goes on. And the drug war, you name it. All these reforms that can be done to fix the problem, he's raising awareness and attention to the problem and giving the country tough love. But these jackasses at the fucking Department of Defense, the Pentagon, go, we're against it and we're going to let you know, even though it's probably unconstitutional for us to come out against it because we're an official government body and we're saying we are against you saying X. That would be a restriction of freedom of speech, and you're too stupid to even realize it because you're drunk on the fake patriotism. I love my country, so I'll never do nothing wrong. We ain't never done nothing wrong. My kid is still doing crystal meth and getting Fs, but I love him. I love him. Let me tell you, he done nothing wrong. He didn't do nothing wrong. No, he did, and we're going to address it, and that's the right thing to do, and that's the patriotic thing to do when it comes to your country.